At the same time in Jiang's apartment, our boy asked Gu Kaishin when he would be able to go out again, reminding him that 3 days had already passed. Gu Kaishin began to walk toward him, explaining that he had come precisely to tell him that they had almost completely resolved the matter of the assassins who had infiltrated Daxia's territory. He revealed that 8 6-transformation assassins and 3 7-transformation assassins had already been eliminated. Jiang sat on the sofa and asked if he was now free from danger. Gu Kaishin said no, since it was said there was still an 8-transformation assassin who hadn't been caught yet. Furthermore, the High Command was worried that they wouldn't give up and might send even stronger assassins. Upon hearing this, our boy realized that there was always going to be someone who wanted to kill him. He didn't know if then he would have to be protected like a useless person. With a confident gaze, our boy revealed that he had many skills and cards up his sleeve, and even so he couldn't face them by himself. He had to always be like a useless person, being protected. He asked if his master didn't believe that such so-called protection was also a restriction for his progress. With a serious expression, using his hand, Jiang grabbed Tang Ying, who was hiding inside a rift, by the cheek and showed her to Gu Kaishin. She panicked, saying that her father had asked her to do this. Our boy thanked her but asked her to go rest. Tang Ying obeyed and started walking toward the door. Gu Kaishin began pointing at her with his finger and in a confused tone asked when she had hidden herself. With a nervous gaze, Jiang mentioned that she had been hiding for a while. She was so embarrassed that she hadn't dared come out, and although she had suppressed her energy, she couldn't hide from his eyes. Upon hearing this, Gu Kaishin felt even more confused since he didn't know what was going on here. With a serious gaze, our boy asked him if he remembered Song Change. Gu Kaishin recalled that guy being part of the celestial tribe Tian King. Jiang questioned whether his master knew how he made Song Change fall into his trap. Our boy extended his hand and revealed that by using his eyes, within a radius of 30,000 meters, he could see all the information about people. Gu Kaishin sat on the sofa, put his arm around his shoulder and with a smile mentioned that he did not expect Jiang to have that trick. He decided to let Jiang take care of the matter of the assassins since due to the problems of the 3 islands abroad, Daxia was short-staffed. An excited smile spread across Jiang's face. He decided to go kill the assassins since instead of defending himself passively, it was better to attack first. Gu Kaishin was somewhat surprised, realizing that youth and bravery were good things, but advised him never to underestimate his opponent. Our boy nodded. Mu Henkyu placed 2 cups of tea on the table and with a kind smile asked them to have some tea. Upon seeing her, Gu Kaishin became confused. Jiang mentioned that Luo Sandao was making the bed for him while on the other side, Zai Xuanyu was using her fire power to roast meat. Upon hearing this, Gu Kaishin realized that our boy wanted to enjoy all the pleasures. Jiang stood up and with a smile told them that today's work was finished, asking them not to come tomorrow. He assigned them a new mission. They had to go to the secret sanctuary and hunt fierce beasts, the stronger, the better. Luo Sandao and the others nodded their heads. In the desert, 2,000 kilometers southwest of the border city of Maju, a knight arrived and said he had good and bad news. The good news was that Daxia had relaxed surveillance on Jiang, which meant he could now leave his apartment. The bad news was that almost all the assassins sent by the countries to Daxia had been killed. The High Command had assigned him the task of joining forces and making sure everything went well. This knight was part of the Order of the Templars. He mentioned that the most important thing was to make sure there were no internal conflicts. If this operation succeeded, each participating nation would receive a key to enter the 9th turn. Just by looking at the number of people, it already seemed fair to him. They were 6, and the other nations only had 3 people, but the reward would be the same. Just then, a man with a ponytail appeared and asked where was the injustice. The captain of the knight's team was only 3rd on the list of most powerful assassins, but Sekira's god assassin from their country, Mr. Sato, was also here. The knight began to observe the man and mentioned that he had always been in the 1st place on the list for more than 10 years, while their captain had just entered the 8th rank, but Mr. Sato had already reached the 8th rank 10 years ago. This man was Kato Aiji, from the country Sakura, an elite assassin and was in 7th place on the list of assassins. With a smile, he extended his hand and made it clear that if it weren't for the divine artifact he held in his hands, the flute of summoning worms, no one else could face Jiang Chen's millions of insects from 9 miasma wings. The knight could not deny that his flute was truly impressive, but he asked where the supposed god of assassins was. His companion said that this guy was just showing off since he was so old that only the worthless title remained. At that moment, someone got angry upon seeing that the knights were speaking badly about the great god Sato, and in the blink of an eye, ended their lives. He was Sato Kinchai from the country Sakura, and he was in 8th place on the list of assassins. He sheathed his sword and mentioned that now the number of people was more or less even, asking everyone to greet him. Upon seeing this, the knight greeted him respectfully and apologized, admitting it was all his fault for not disciplining his men properly. Sato decided it was time to talk about planning and division of labor. A woman named Park Yeonjin, who was holding a magical crystal ball, began to walk toward them with a cheerful look. She was from the Frozen Nation and was at the peak of the 7th transformation, being the number 5 assassin in the ranking. With a smile, she revealed that their country, Han, had sent 2 assassins into the depths of Great Xia to lure Jiang Cheng to this place. She was determined to take Great Cold as her origin element, and the crystal ball in her hand could trap Jiang's thunder skills. Sato turned toward her and made it clear that talking about origin for now wasn't good. Seeing that she could attract the enemy and restrict his thunder skills, he thought she was somewhat useful. He revealed that the 9 miasma wings would be controlled by a member of his country called Kato Hyde. Also, the genius from Zhuo Ziyuan clan had risked his life to challenge Jiang Chen and had discovered that he possessed a darkness attribute skill, which made him someone very powerful. A monk was meditating on top of the mountain. He was Sharma from the realm Shiva. He was at the peak of the 7th transformation and number 4 in the ranking. While his eyes were glowing, he explained to Shiva that the element of darkness did not exist in this world. It was necessary to borrow it from the 9 underworlds of hell. If they could seal Jiang's dark cracks, they would prevent him from using his darkness skills like the spear. Sato approached the knight and with a serious gaze decided to ask him 2 questions. He wanted to know how to deal with the dark demon of 9 transformations. He knew that this place was near Mount Kunlun. Not only was it a location of divine source of Great Xia, but it also was only 1,000 kilometers away from the entrance to the cave. He wanted to know how they could guarantee that they would not attract powerful forces into action. The knight put his hand inside a rift and decided to show everyone a sacred object from the temple. He took out a shining paper and revealed that it was the sacred light refraction, which could block all their aura and all their energy fluctuations. A smoke screen appeared around his body. He asked everyone to pay attention, since the refraction of sacred light was completely shielded. It was different from ordinary methods of spatial concealment. They were in a mirror world and no skill could sense them. He activated the refraction of sacred light and a powerful flash appeared in the sky. A barrier appeared around them. Everyone was shocked since they didn't know what was happening or if they had been dragged into the mirror world. The knight mentioned that even if they set aside the master of the cave who due to his responsibilities couldn't physically leave the cave, as long as they managed to bring Jiang Chen into the mirror world first, no matter how many times he transformed, no trace of him could be found in the outside world. Showing the refraction of sacred light, he revealed that to deal with the dark demon of the 9 transformations, they were going to do the exact opposite. As soon as it appeared, they were going to launch another layer of sacred light refraction to temporarily isolate it. And although the effect was not going to last long, as long as it was trapped for more than 10 seconds, it was going to be annihilated by the heavenly Tao. He approached Sato and explained that with this, they would not have to worry about the 9 miasma wings, the thunder element, the dark element, nor about the abyssal demon. Sato realized that even if Jiang Chen managed to temporarily reach the 7th transformation by taking ancient god blood, he was sure that he could kill him with a single move. At the same time at Jiangnan's main base, a crowd of people began looking toward the sky. Among them there was a sexy woman and a little girl. Everyone was amazed to see the sovereign of calamities strolling through Great Xia. In the sky was Jiang standing over the poisonous mist. He knew that if he wanted to attract all the assassins and kill them, it was better to draw attention. Little Nine and Xiao Jia appeared on Jiang's shoulder and asked if they were going on a trip. While Jiang's eyes were shining with seriousness, he nodded his head. Little Xiao Jia thought that the children passing by on the street looked like them and asked why they were all carrying backpacks. Our boy mentioned that they had to go to school. Upon hearing this, Xiao Jia asked if they could also go to school. Jiang decided to talk about it later and began flying through the city. Little Nine asked what Jiang had in mind, and our boy revealed that he was looking for a mom for them. Jiang's attention was fixed on the sexy woman and the girl. With a cheerful gaze, they began to greet our boy. The system revealed that the woman was named Jin Meiji, an assassin from the Gelid Nation. She was in the 6th transformation. She was very charming and liked to kill. The girl was named Quan Zixuan, an assassin from the Gelid Nation. She was in the 7th transformation. She was good at disguising herself, hiding, escaping, and killing. Jiang began to fly away from the area. If they wanted to attack, it would be very complicated to do so in the main base. He decided to look for some remote place to create opportunities for them, since this way he would also save himself the trouble of bothering people in the city. Jin Meiji's eyes began to shine with joy and malice. According to her, Jiang Chen's whereabouts were very well known, and now that he had no guards he had let his guard down, being the perfect opportunity for them to attack. Their superiors had said that first they should try to kill Jiang themselves, and if they succeeded, the prestige of their icy country would increase enormously. If in the end it was complicated to kill Jiang, they were going to follow the plan and lure him into the Gobi Desert to ambush him. When she asked Quan Zixuan if she was ready, with a look full of excitement, she was already ready to chase Jiang. After a few hours, Jiang reached a forest and gave the order to the insects to fly slower since he wanted to avoid his pursuers losing sight of him. In the forest was Jin Meiji sitting on the ground with a snake bite on her leg. With eyes full of tears, Quan Zixuan asked Jiang for help saving her, revealing that she had been bitten by a poisonous snake. Despite the fact that her performance had been pitiful, Jiang descended to the ground and thought that they were ignorant and unprofessional. Upon seeing that Jiang had come to help, Quan Zixuan felt happy. Jiang approached her and praised Jin Meiji for being a beautiful girl, and asked her not to worry since he had come to help her. Upon hearing this, her eyes filled with tears and joy. Jiang began to look into her eyes and with a sincere gaze admitted that something had struck his heart. He not only wanted to save her but also wanted to marry her. Jiang sat in front of her, placed his hand on his chest and with a loving expression asked her to come into his arms since he was going to take her to a hospital. At that moment, Jin Meiji took out the weapon she had hidden behind her back and it began to shine. With a grateful expression, she thanked our boy. Quan Zixuan took advantage of this moment to attack Jiang from behind, and while her eyes were shining, she thanked him saying that he was a very kind person. Jiang couldn't help but smile, and while his eyes were shining with excitement, he used the divine elephant's fist, struck Quan Zixuan with his elbow and gave Jin Meiji a strong punch on the cheek. Just then, poisonous mist began to approach Quan Zixuan. Seeing this, she panicked and realized that Jiang had deceived them. Quan Zixuan began to flee at great speed and asked Jiang not to kill her and promised in return to give him all the treasures she had hidden. Our boy activated his thunder class, and while poisonous mist was emerging from his body, he prepared to attack. He was in shock to see how fast she was, realizing that she was faster than his lightning flash. It was a skill for covering short distances, but to cover long distances he had to change places continuously, and the overall speed wasn't as good as using the insect baby. His eyes began to shine and a smile spread across his face. He knew that she was trying to lead him into an ambush. For him this was something good since catching everyone at once would save him the time of having to look for them one by one. At the same time in the Tianyuan Demonic Valley, located 70,000 li north of Pojun City in the underground region, a flood occurred. A red-haired man named Ding Chunkyu, a fifth transformation warrior, started to run and with a smile asked everyone to flee. He had diverted a current from the Sea of Desires, causing a flood. They were not fast and the flood caught them. They were furious since according to them, Ding Chunkyu deserved to die. Ding Chunkyu mocked them since there was no way that 6 transformation warriors like them could kill him. He started running at full speed and made it clear that they, with their speed, wouldn't even be able to escape from a dog. A while later, they moved away from the place and entered a cave. They sat down and began to pant heavily from so much running. They were confused since they did not know why Ding Chunkyu was risking his life in this way. Ding Chunkyu sat next to a rock and with a smile explained that according to the information he had obtained, the Tanking Divine Clan had lost a Divine Son at the Great Xia headquarters. A few days ago, another of the Divine Sons had come to Demon Valley leading a group, seeking revenge and to annihilate them. But they were not an easy target, and if they could not face them head-on, then they had to play dirty. For this reason, he had used a current from the Sea of Desires to flood the valley. Among them was a green-haired woman named Nan Gongyan, a 6th transformation warrior. With an angry expression she asked if he was not afraid of dying dragged by his own desires. Ding Chunkyu revealed that his class was Dark Water Mage, so as long as he was careful, he would have no problems. This time he had killed more than 90 and it was a shame that the Divine Son managed to escape. She began to walk toward them and made it clear that he had only been lucky, asking everyone to get ready since they were going to return to Great Xia. This time they had to fight in the competition against the 3 overseas islands for the honor of their nation. Ding Chunku revealed that it was going to be something complicated since the inhabitants of the 3 overseas islands followed another path. They had advanced more than them in discovering classes, elements, and inscriptions. In combat in complex environments, Ding Chunku and his people had experience, but in direct confrontation they were at a disadvantage. With a confused expression, Nan Gongyin asked why he was getting discouraged before starting. 50 years had passed and she believed that generation of warriors was not going to be so strong. Ding Chunku extended his hand and thought that she was right, since in 50 years, anything could change. He had heard that this time the reset was due to an impressive young man appearing at headquarters. He began to imagine our boy and his eyes started to shine with excitement. He revealed that this genius was named Jiang Cheng, the leader of the genius ranking of the 793rd generation and one of their descendants. According to rumors, he had a double divine level class and could control the forbidden plague of 9 miasma wings. He also remembered that the plague of the 9 miasma wings had already spread to several millions. With a serious gaze, Nan Gongyin revealed that the god of war, Jiang Xuanji, had even personally intervened in his case and had modified Grand Zia's forbidden laws for him. Using his thumb, Ding Chunku began to point backward and couldn't help but smile upon seeing that she knew a lot, realizing why she was the leader of the 793rd generation of geniuses. He had heard that this generation had been incredibly strong, and she, with her own strength, had led the Kinglan War Zone to victory, conquering first place with an invincible force. Then Gongyin began to stare at him and mentioned that he hadn't fought badly either since he had ranked second in the classification of the 788th generation. With an angry expression, he said that she was going too far and asked why she had to mention his ranking, not knowing if she wanted to challenge him. She asked him to stop talking since he wouldn't even be able to defeat her even if he tried, and besides, she didn't want trouble. With a serious expression, she revealed that in this competition, the top 3 from generations 781 through 792 were participating, but from the 793rd generation only Jiang Chen was present. The genius from the Jai family of the 784th generation, Jai Yan, had been captured by the primordial gods and died after being tortured. In summary, of those geniuses from those generations, less than 50% were still alive. The leader of the 781st generation, Feng Yunwuji, is still alive, and he was the captain of their team in this competition. 3 years ago, this man had fought against the second genius of the demons and had killed him, but 2 years ago, he had been ambushed by the primordial demons, and although he managed to kill 3 rank 6 demons, he disappeared afterward. She put her hand on her waist and mentioned that he had returned to Pojun City to see the god of war Jiang, and soon he would join them. Upon hearing that this man was not dead, Ding Chunku's eyes filled with joy. With a smile, he decided to go see his idol. In Pojun City in the cave stood Jiang Xuanji next to Wu Jai. The old man was surprised since the last time he saw Wu Jai. He was still young, full of ambition and talent. He never thought that in just 10 years he would have earned the title of Sword Demon. With a sincere expression, Wu Jai admitted that Xuanji praised him too much. He had only been lucky and had not died in the cave. Xuanji began to stare at him and asked if he had confidence in the mission of leading the team against the 3 foreign islands. He revealed that the 3 islands had taken their class change system to an extreme level. They had even managed to artificially create divine level beings. Wu Jai did not know if he could guarantee victory, but he was going to do his best. Since this competition between nations was only the first step, victory or defeat did not matter so much. With a curious gaze, he asked if Jiang Chen was the one who had started all this. Xuanji replied that yes, King Zhenhai had said that if this competition could be concluded perfectly, he wouldn't mind letting Jiang take charge of the 3 islands. While Wu Jai's eyes were shining, he promised to protect Jiang well, leaving old Xuanji somewhat surprised. Although what he practiced was the emotionless sword Dao, in his blood were engraved the characters of Yan and Huang, something that couldn't be erased. Jiang Chen was someone in whom the god of war had placed his hopes, so he was the future of Great Xia, and protecting Jiang was something he must do. Xuanji felt happy to see that Great Xia had someone like him. Now he felt relieved. Leaning his back against the railing, he asked Wu Jai that after leaving the cave they should first pass through the Gobai Desert, 2,000 li southwest of Manhua City. Earlier he had sensed an energy in that place and an unusual aura which suddenly disappeared. He suspected there might be an ambush by assassins there and knew that at this moment they were taking Jiang Cheng toward it. With a confused gaze, Wu Jai asked why Xuanji had not stopped Jiang. Xuanji revealed that Jiang's master wanted him to face more challenges, even if he had to suffer a little. He knew that Jiang had many hidden cards, so he was not going to be defeated so easily. He only asked them to go just as a precaution. Xuanji could only protect him but not interfere in his decisions. When Wu Jai asked for the reason, Xuanji closed his eyes and with a smile said that the secrets of heaven should not be revealed. At the same time, Jiang arrived at the Gobi Desert. He knew that woman was incredibly fast. Since she had escaped from the base, she had changed direction 3 times, and now upon arriving here, she had completely disappeared. There was no trace of her aura. Even the Eye of the Void could not detect her. He knew this was not normal. He decided to use Xiao Chen to predict the next 30 seconds. Xiao Chen, who was resting on the ancestral tree, did not refuse. Jiang closed his eyes and saw that he was going to be attacked by several warriors. There was even one of 8th transformation. He realized that there was a barrier that could block everything, being perfect since this way he could kill them at ease. The knight and the others were watching Jiang from the cliff. Quan Zixuan asked Dixius why Jiang wasn't moving forward. She didn't know if they had been discovered. Dixius said that it was impossible because if Jiang had discovered them, he would have already escaped. According to him, her sudden disappearance had aroused his suspicions. They weren't close enough now. They were at the maximum range of the refraction of sacred light. They needed to find a way to make Jiang take a few more steps forward, and if they moved toward him and reactivated the refraction of sacred light, it would be equal to exposing themselves completely. To Dixius' surprise, something began to approach, and upon seeing this, he realized that reinforcements had arrived. It was Ding Chengqiu, Nan Gongyan and the others. With a worried expression, he revealed to Jiang that there was an ambush and asked him to wait for them. Jiang's eyes filled with confusion. He knew there was an ambush, and he noticed that Ding Chengqiu and the others seemed like good people. Jiang put his hand into the barrier of sacred light refraction and with a serious gaze decided not to involve them since he didn't want them to get caught up in this. He had to finish this quickly. Jiang entered the world of mirrors, leaving Ding Chengqiu and the others in shock. They thought Jiang believed they were the bad guys. They approached the place but the barrier had already sealed itself. They didn't know what to do now. With a sincere gaze, Ding Chengqiu revealed that now they could only wait outside and trust in Jiang's luck. Jiang was in the world of mirrors. Dixius mocked him by calling him a fool. He couldn't believe that to prevent Ding Chengqiu and the others from being killed, he had decided to go in alone. Now that the refraction of sacred light is sealed, no one was going to be able to save him. With an angry expression, Jiang asked them to stop talking and come out to attack him. Dixius and the others revealed that they were assassins, and the first rule was to stay hidden. No assassin acted with their face uncovered. His eyes began to shine with rage. He made it clear that if they didn't come out, they couldn't blame him for forcing them out. Jiang released the insects, which began advancing in all directions. The barrier was only meant to isolate from outside, and what they called hiding was just a trick to deceive. Kato Hyde began to play the flute to control the insects of the 9 miasma wings and asked his companions to attack since without the insects Jiang was weak. Little Nine informed Jiang that the insects were being controlled. Jiang began to stare at Kato Hyde and asked her not to pretend weakness, as it was obvious that he was struggling to control the millions of insects since he could not kill them. She only had to make sure that the insects continued advancing towards him until they exploded and killed him. Jiang's body began releasing millions of insects. He mocked them and asked if they thought he only had a couple million insects, revealing that they had incorrect information. Seeing this, Kato Hyde panicked as he could no longer control the insects. Just then, daggers made of dark energy began falling from the sky. Jiang put his arm in front of his head and became confused as he did not know what kind of technique this was and realized that they wanted to attack both his soul and his body at the same time. With his eyes shining, he used the power of the divine elephant body and asked the old tree to finish them off. He decided to kill them using his own technique. Just then, several warriors who were hidden appeared and prepared to attack. Jiang used his eternal domain of the god of thunder, making a giant eye appear behind him. A burst of electricity began to advance toward the men. Yojin used her crystal ball to absorb Jiang's thunders. Upon seeing this, he realized that they had prepared well for this battle. Jiang clenched his fist and with eyes shining with emotion decided to use the spear of the god of the underworld. But just then, the monk used his power and golden energy began to emerge from his body. With one thought, he could become Buddha, and with another a demon. As Buddha, he could crush demons and monsters. With a furious gaze, he revealed that his 2 disciples had sacrificed themselves to bring the protection of hell. Now in this world there would no longer remain even a trace of dark energy. Jiang grabbed the spear and with an arrogant smile revealed that this was not dark energy. He asked Xiaojia, the Lord of Hell, what he thought when someone mentioned hell. Xiaojia said that the powers of the monk were useless. Jiang gave the order to Xiaojia to eat the monk. With a murderous gaze, Xiaojia shot towards the monk. He was in shock since he didn't know what was happening, but he realized that this wasn't dark energy but hell itself. Xiaojia attacked, but the monk used the golden light mantra to protect his body. A golden light appeared around him, blocking the attack. With eyes shining with rage, Jiang decided to fuse Xiaojia with the spear of the god of the underworld. Thanks to this, Xiaojia pierced through the golden light barrier and stabbed the monk's chest. Jiang's arm fused with the spear. He decided to keep killing and attack Yojin. She reacted in time and dodged the attack. With a gaze full of fear, she asked the others to attack because otherwise she wouldn't be able to contain Jiang's thunder power. While the insects were advancing toward Kato Hide, he also asked for help since he could barely control the insects. He gave the order to the others to attack since the insects were about to go out of control. Upon hearing this, Dixius and the others appeared and began charging toward Jiang. Our boy's attention was fixed on them, leaving him somewhat confused. As the knights were approaching, Jiang gave Xiaojia the order to stop fusing the spear with his arm. The knights attacked with their swords, but Jiang blocked the attacks using his chest. Jiang's body expelled a powerful wave of energy, causing the knights to drop their swords. They were in shock upon seeing that their attacks were useless, and they didn't know what constitution Jiang had. Jiang clenched his fist and as fire was emerging from it, he revealed that he had heard about the Order of the Temple Knights. 400 years ago they went to the borderline of Daxia to kill 3 cardinals of 8 transformations. Jiang attacked with a fierce punch, which turned into a burst of fire and killed one of the knights. Upon looking closely, the only thing Dixius saw was the horse split in half and realized that this attack was not for close combat. He asked Sato to intervene. A strange aura appeared in the air. Jiang's eyes filled with fear and confusion. He did not know if this was Sato's curse. He decided to use the ancestral tree to get rid of the curse. Sato, who was hiding behind the rocks, was in shock when seeing that his curse had failed. He did not know if Jiang was immune to curses, and decided to be more cautious next time since if he could not finish him off with a single blow, he himself would be in danger. Jiang's eyes began to shine with rage. He knew he had to act fast since Sato was going to change tactics next time. He had to avoid being attacked from both sides. Our boy asked Xiaojia to summon the infernal demon. It emerged and began to roar with a furious gaze. Sato peeked his head and went into shock upon seeing that it had appeared. With a serious gaze he asked Dixius to use it now. Dixius launched the refraction of sacred light which began to shine intensely. In the blink of an eye, it began to absorb the infernal demon. While little by little it was disappearing, Jiang asked it to destroy that space immediately. In an instant, the refraction of sacred light completely absorbed the body of the infernal demon. Jiang was in shock. Consumed by fury, he decided to attack using the fist of the divine elephant. He knew that first he would have to deal with the knights. Dixius had no other choice. He threw the mirror of transmutation into the air, knowing that he would have to sacrifice the sacred artifact. As Jiang's fist was slowly approaching, a mirror appeared in front of his fist. Jiang attacked, but his body was thrown backward. The mirror began to shine. Jiang started to observe it, and it didn't take him long to realize that the mirror had reflected his attack. Now that the mirror was in front of them, he couldn't attack from the front since he would suffer damage, but he noticed that they had no defense on their backs. He let out a sigh and a smile spread across his face. He decided to use the divine elephant's fist once more. He knew that he had to inject 6 million red armor beetles into the infernal god's spear. Xiaojia, who was about to attack Yojin, turned around and started returning with Jiang. Her eyes began to shine with relief upon seeing that the spear was gone. Finally, she could breathe easy. While Jiang's fist was surrounded by fire, he prepared to attack. Dixius placed the mirror in front and thought that Jiang had allowed himself to be blinded by his own strength. He knew that now he would be destroyed by his own blow. Jiang attacked the mirror. Dixius was in shock to see that Jiang's punch had no strength. At that moment, Xiaojia, who was transformed into a spear, took advantage to attack the knights from behind. When Dixius turned around, he panicked. While Jiang's eyes were glowing, with a smile he revealed that this wasn't over yet. Our boy appeared behind and using the spear broke the mirror into pieces, since he knew that the back of the mirror couldn't reflect the impact. With a relieved gaze, Jiang let out a sigh. Sato stopped hiding behind the rocks, and while his body was releasing a strange energy, he started looking at our boy, and it didn't take long for him to realize that the composition of that spear was linked to his physical strength. He knew now was when his body was at its weakest point. A powerful skull appeared behind Jiang, Our boy was in shock since he couldn't feel anything at all. When he turned around, his eyes widened in surprise and the skull disappeared. Energy began to emerge from Jiang's body. He extended his hand and his eyes filled with surprise upon seeing that the source of faith had been activated passively. Sato's eyes filled with fear and he couldn't help but sweat as he couldn't believe that Jiang had so many tricks up his sleeve. Jiang attacked with the infernal spear and felt furious because they had made him waste Jai Gang's feelings and those of the people of Chuijiang towards him. He attacked Yojin first. The spear pierced her chest and destroyed the crystal ball, allowing the thunder domain to emerge. She opened her mouth and began to bleed. Kato Hyde used his power and a barrier appeared around his body. Jiang's attention focused on him. He asked Little Nine to stop slacking off and to release all the insects to attack. If she didn't do it, he wasn't going to feed her for 3 days and she could forget about the new house. She decided not to hold back anymore and released all the insects. They began hitting Kato Hyde's barrier. His eyes filled with fear, realizing that he was in danger. Little by little the insects began devouring his barrier. He started playing the flute with all his strength. Desperation had arrived, and this was going to be his last chance, so he decided to sacrifice himself. At that moment, Sato appeared behind Jiang and put his hands together, causing a strange energy to appear in the air. He mentioned that destiny was approaching with force. However, even the most powerful fall when their strategies are repeated. Jiang's attention was fixed on him. The battle was far from over. Jiang decided to use Xiao Chan's power to foresee the future. Xiao Chan, who was sitting next to the ancestral tree, nodded her head. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video.